So here's a video for you guys who are umming and ahhing about whether or not to pull for Caesar's signature engine, or those of you who are worried that Caesar's potential might be limited dramatically due to the lack of her engine. And I understand where this worry might be coming from when we look at her engine. It's a defensive engine that comes with impact, which when we look at the rest of the defense engines available to us, there's really nothing else that has impact in the defense category, making this a one-of-a-kind engine with no alternatives. But is it that big of a deal? Let's break it down. So Caesar's signature weapon at P1 gives us 18% impact, 30% bonus multipliers to shields that we provide, 18% squad damage and 12% daze application for 20 seconds whenever any squad member interrupts or performs a perfect dodge, which is pretty easy to trigger, so we can take this as a flat value pretty much, as this buff is just permanently going to be up. So that's quite a bit. But first, let's take a look at what this actually translates to. So let's start with the shields. Caesar's shields scale off base impact, which is Caesar's total impact that can be seen on her character screen. This impact is contributed from her base character model, her weapon, and her disc. Any impact bonuses that come from weapon passives or ones that get applied during combat do not count towards this. A Caesar with an F rank core skill grants shields with a value of 1400% of her base impact plus 1400. So I have a table here that lists the different configurations of impact that we can have on our Caesar, along with the total shield values from those setups. Unfortunately, there are currently no A-rank defense engines in the game that provide impact, so the best that you're going to get with a defense engine is going to be around 3500 shields. We can see here that with an A-rank stun weapon with 15% impact, we can get just under 3800 shields, and if you happen to have an S-rank stun weapon lying around, then you can bump that up to just over 3800. Caesar's signature engine, however, has a passive which grants us a further 1.3 times multiplier to our total shield value, which brings that very same configuration up to a pretty massive 4986 shields. Next, let's take a look at impact and stun capability. We can improve our stun capability through equipment in 4 ways. 1. Having the signature engine, which grants us 18% impact and a 12% bonus to daze application. 2. Using a stun engine with a base impact of either 15% off of an A rank engine or 18% off of an S rank engine. 3. Using an impact disc 6, or 4. Using the 2-piece of the Shockstar Disco set. So I went ahead and I tested out every combination of this. For the test itself, I went up against a level 70 Fabawadi, and I picked this since it has no weaknesses to physical. The rotation I used is quite a common rotation when playing Caesar. I defense assisted her in, and then I used a follow-up attack. Then I timed a perfect EX into an EX follow-up. Normally you would throw a couple of basics in between as well, but I removed them for a bit of consistency since the amount of basics would vary depending on what the enemy does. When using the signature engine, I made sure to do a perfect dodge. This way we get the 12% daze buff. And so here are the results. So let's talk about our key findings. As expected, using Caesar's signature engine is going to give you a significant increase to her daze application. So no surprises there. Simply equipping the signature engine is going to give you more daze application over using both an impact D6 and 2-piece set with no signature. You're looking at roughly a 28 to 30% increase in stun application going from no signature to signature. We can, however, bring that gap down significantly when we use a stun engine with its base impact stat. Going down this route, we can bring down that difference from 30% down to about 15%. Now, at this point, you might be asking why we're even considering using a stun type engine when we have a defense engine that also provides impact in the form of the original Transmorpher. And that's a great question. The Transmorpher is a great engine, and being craftable, you can easily get it to P5, in which it will stand toe-to-toe with an equivalent A-rank stun engine. In fact, its 16% impact buff allows it to eke out a tiny bit extra stun in some circumstances. And while we wouldn't be able to use any of the passives on a stun weapon, using the Transmorpher we would get ourselves a 37.5% additional max health bonus. Well, the answer to all that is that it boils down to what you value more. 37.5 max health for Caesar, or about 250 more toughness on Caesar's shields. The impact buff from a Transmorpher applies during combat, which means that it doesn't contribute to your overall shield value, while the base impact of an A-rank stun weapon does. And there's also the additional benefit in which an A rank stun weapon gets its full impacted value from P1, whereas the Transmorpher only matches it once you get it to P5. That said though, if you do have a P5 Transmorpher ready, then it's going to perform perfectly fine and on par with any of the A rank stun engines, so just use whatever's more convenient for you. And now lastly, let's take a look at utility. So ignoring everything else that we've spoken about so far, Caesar's signature provides 18% damage to the entire squad. When comparing it to every other option, the only thing that could even give it a run for its money would be the Battle Pass engine, Spring Embrace, which gives Caesar a 10% energy regeneration rate for 12 seconds when hit, and then she also passes this on to the next on-field character when she switches off-field. Now, this isn't going to open up any sort of new rotations that previously wasn't possible, but it is going to make your combat a lot more comfortable since you'll have more EX counters at the ready. If you aren't going for a stun-based Caesar with the Transmorpher, then this is definitely your best alternative. So, what's our conclusion then? I think my biggest takeaway from all this is that these tests have really dispelled the FOMO of not having access to an impact-based defensive engine. The impact engines are available to us either through the Fossilized Core or Andy's engine, or even the original Transmorpher. These are all solid options, so you don't need to worry about stun-focused Caesars being locked behind a signature engine. If you're going to be building Caesar for stun, then these A ranks are only 12 to 15% worse than the signature engine for building stun with Caesar herself. But keep in mind though that the signature engine does give bonus days to the entire team. If you're not building Caesar for stun, let's say you're putting her on a Jane team comp, or you're running her alongside Lycon on an Ellen team or Qingyi on a Zhuan team, then Spring Embrace is your best engine. You will be applying 30% less stun, but if you're not building her as a stunner anyway, then it's not that big of a hit. On the flip side, you are going to be getting more EX counters thanks to that bonus energy. If you are getting the signature engine though, then this is what you do get. A little more than 1,000 shields every time you apply shields, between 12 to 30% more stun application on Caesar herself, which does open the door for you to using an energy regen or damage disc over impact disc in that D6 slot, and then also an 18% bonus damage boost for your entire team. So hopefully there's enough information there for you guys to make an educated decision on whether or not Caesar's engine is worth it for you. I personally always pick up signature engines, so I will be getting Caesar along with her engine, but let me know down in the comments whether or not you plan on picking it up, and if not, what engine you'll be using. See ya!